Hi, everybody. We are back at Be Astute talking about the missing ingredient and how we can help you make your provider be ever more marvelous. Um, this week's topic, Suze, is what can you do about shit data?
Shit data syndrome. It's a plague across the nation. It is a plague, and there's many reasons for the shit data syndrome plague that attaches to many of our esteemed colleagues and friends across the industry. And there are some ways to fix shit data, and we're going to talk to you about them today.
So, if you've got shit data coming in, you're going to have shit data coming out. So, partly it's about understanding where in the process your data is getting shitified. That's a great word, isn't it? Generally, if you've got rubbish stuff coming in, it's going to be in being too easy for people to put rubbish into the system.
Absolutely.
So that's looking at just a simple thing of do you have boxes digitally that need to be completed where people are allowed not to?
Yeah.
Do you have it where, a lot of stuff in terms of the ILR is people putting in the wrong codes?
And yeah, and that was what I was about to say, right? For me, the big one, like back in the day, the ILR is the invoice to the government for skills, right? So from the point of view of skills providers, we all know the ILR is the god of cash into the business. The amount of people that don't check it for accuracy astounds me. That how you would not check all of your codes, your FFI ones and your FFI twos, how you
I
would
was
not
going to
check.
come to that. Yeah,
Yeah, sorry,
in
I
terms
jumped
of
ahead.
um, yeah, and there's simple stuff um
Start date
around.
today. What are you doing? If anyway, sorry, carry on. I was about to start ranting. I'm not going to. I'm going to be well behaved.
I give her 30 seconds before she rants again. We can time that one.
Mm.
So, yeah, you've got stuff where people who are out doing the sign-ups, we make it too easy as the people in charge for them not to fill in every box.
Yes.
You fix it. Just don't allow me not to fill in the boxes. Look at how you're communicating things. So yes, there are a load of tedious codes in the ILR. On your data system, have you got the drop down with actually the explanation next to the code?
Mm-hmm.
Simple stuff like that can make it easier for people to put in the right code.
Yeah.
But you've got to make it that all the codes are filled in, that the ILR is complete. Same with the learning plans and signatures. How are you making sure that I can't leave without a signature?
From the learner and the employer, if it's an employed learner.
Absolutely. And yeah,
The
with things
amount of
like
time staff have that.
FFI,
Yeah.
it's the full funding indicator, really important within adult skills. Um, do you have a simple report that, one, are you making sure that in your sign up you're asking all the questions you need to ask around income in order to be able to add it up and see what somebody's income is? Because income is the primary driver, along with previous qualifications, for driving FFI 1 and FFI 2. And it's a 50% change in funding. It's huge.
Yeah, it's massive.
So it's not hard, but if you do think it's hard, then please get in touch. We can do it for you to have a report that pulls out all the key eligibility criteria and the money criteria into a report next to the code that you're running to make sure that they're coded correctly. Because
And
that
yeah.
could earn you thousands upon thousands upon
So
thousands of pounds without really any cost, just because you're making sure people are coded correctly.
yeah, and so you've got the coding issue, and then obviously building in, there's got a bit of complexity around the different earning thresholds depending on the devolved and non-devolved authorities and all the rest of it, which you need to look at, particularly if you've got several different devolved contracts, because there's earning thresholds may differ. But also on top of that, you've got things like learning support funding. And how are you supporting and recording the need for learning support properly at that so initial assessment and sign up stage of a learner? Because again, there's income attached to that. Now, the income is for the learner to get the additional support they need. It's not for you to line your profits, but the staff will be giving that additional support anyway. So how are you using data well to make sure that all of those different things are on your invoice? Because your ILR is your invoice. Looking at your start and end dates, it amazes me how people just don't. I mean, just don't have
Check.
something senior enough checking the ILR before it is put in for that final time
It's
to
so
sense
easy.
check everything on the ILR. I
But
mean,
it's
you
so
know, I
easy.
used to do it every month
Yeah.
for well, when
But
we worked together, and
just
that
with
was
a
for three and
simple
a half thousand
12
learners.
months, a simple 12-month program, it's so easy to get that end year wrong.
Yeah.
And they're
Oh,
either in training for a day or 10 years.
yeah. I mean, some
Neither
of
of
the
which is the right answer.
I mean, look, some of the stuff that I used to see because I would do that. I mean, obviously, I didn't do all of the data admin stuff at the MIS, but I did that final check. I was the one that authorized that ILR could be submitted, and I would spend a couple of days deep in data doing that to make sure that we weren't paying anything back we shouldn't be paying back. We were earning all the money we should be earning, and we're being timely in terms of our start claim, our achievement claim, and early leaver process every single month. But part of that on the start was like, so why hasn't this learner been assessed for additional support needs? Can that happen, please? I can't see an employer signature anywhere. That needs to happen, please. The learner started in September and is finishing in October for an 18-month apprenticeship program. Can we please amend all of the paperwork and then give it to me so I can make sure that it's done correctly to protect the income to the business? It's probably in terms of and I was well paid as an ops director, probably the best use of my time for those couple of days every month because income was secure. And I don't get how people don't check their data properly. Shit data leads to shit invoicing, leads to shit order outcomes, leads to money at risk in the business. And this is all about risk management. Once you've earned it, giving it back under any
Full.
circumstances is painful, but it's also really risky. I mean, and I'm talking if I'm talking to leaders here, you know this. I'm not teaching granny to suck eggs, but you having banked 50 grand or 80 grand that at RO 14 you're then having to pay back because things weren't managed well in year, it's just not great.
No,
So
it's not great. And it's also that thing of if you're being audited, and realistically now that government, one, we have a new government, two, we are several years post COVID now. So all of that audit is going to crank back up again. They look at this stuff. Yes, you get given notice. Do you want to be having to do loads of fixing it up because, oh lordy, we're about to be audited? Or do you want your staff to be doing it right first time? And it's that right first time business culture that ultimately saves you loads of money and
absolutely.
earns you loads of money and makes you a good provider. And it's not just in terms of the claim, it also goes through in terms of, precision, in terms of registers.
Mm-hmm.
Did the learner turn up? Did the learner not turn up? Did this session happen? Did it not happen? When was the unit awarded? How much work has been handed in?
Off the
When
job,
was
off
the
the job log.
last time we actually did a progress review? And was that progress review complete?
And was it good?
I mean, absolutely. But, do you know? And one of the most evil questions in business that I still haven't found a more evil question is, how do you know?
Yeah.
How do you know this happened? And in such a compliance heavy sector as employability and skills, that how do you know is incredibly important. And good data systems allow us to know, but they require us to be aware of the quality of the data that goes into it.
Absolutely.
So if you're
Absolutely.
running reports that you can't be confident about, then yeah, what are you doing about it?
Yeah.
And it's very easy for people to go, oh, well, that's the report that the system chucks out. So that's what we've got to live with, as opposed to going, no, I need better than this.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And good reporting is not a cost, it's an investment that will pay you back over and over and over and over and
Absolutely.
over
No,
again.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that from my point of view, operationally running large contracts and provision, when you look at the way some people do it, and you think, how do you survive your day without being able to have the right data in the right place to make the right decisions for the business? Um, and having staff understanding that you have access to that data and you
And
will be
often it's the same
back.
data. I don't understand people who don't share a lot of this data with their staff. I don't
You
mean the
know,
finance stuff, because actually, fundamentally, most staff within providers aren't money motivated.
well, they wouldn't
They're
be, but they would
motivated
be
by
better
doing a
if they were.
great job
Yeah,
for the learner.
yeah,
Um, so they don't actually care about those numbers, but they do care about, how well am I doing? What are my stats? Are my stats good?
yeah,
We used to have a learner dashboard that had 120 columns of data per learner for 2,000 learners. We could run it as many times as we liked, and every person in the business could run that at different levels of view. So,
complexity. Yeah,
a
yeah,
tutor could run it for their learners that they were assigned to. The IQA could run it. We could run it by employer. We could run it 100 times a day if something very exciting was going on, and
yeah.
there were often times when we did that.
Well, back
Um,
in the day when it was July, right?
oh,
We would be running it, back in the day when
absolutely.
July mattered, when it was frameworks, we would be running it 100 times a day easily to see.
Even if you were just running it in order to count one column, brilliant, I know the answer, but it's bang up to date, and it took
Yeah,
me 10 seconds to run that, and I can trust it because I know I've got all these other systems in place in order to make sure I can trust it.
yeah,
And I have trained myself as the managing director to be able to interpret this and to run, I was the queen of the pivot table to be able to chop it up and do it in 37 different ways. If you don't have that ability, you are running your business with one hand tied behind your back.
yeah,
And then there becomes the question, what are you doing about the fact you're running a business with one hand tied behind your back? That's when you should use the links to call us, because we'd love to help.
yeah. Absolutely, we know this stuff inside out, and I will just say, in terms of this stuff, our expert knowledge on this stuff is up there with the best. Well, we are the best, you know. I'm just going to say on this issue around the state and how you do this well to manage efficiency, profitability, retaining the cash that you get into the business, accuracy of invoicing to government, all of that kind of stuff. We are the bee's knees. So
But also using all of this stuff to manage staff effectively, to make sure that learners are progressing well, making sure that you're hitting all of the compliance parts of your contract, and that you can demonstrate timely achievement, stretch and challenge, all those lovely things, and reduce dropout. We also rock at all of that as
so
well.
can I just say this is how you get value for money? Because I do the operations. What do you mean your claim's wrong? Let's get that fixed. Let's make sure you're maximizing your income. Make sure you're doing everything right on that. Julia comes in and goes, well, what do you mean you're not measuring learner progress in terms of these 5 different measurements and how easy you can put that in? So that's the focus of both of us and why we work so well together in terms of supporting providers, because we've both got those differing aspects in terms of our data knowledge and what that looks like. I mean, we can do both of each other's jobs as well, but we do have specific, focus on the different areas of your business. So contact us.
In summary, we'll stop wittering now. Thank you very
Yeah.
much for watching.